reconvene from closed session and have roll call, Madam Clerk.
Councilmember Mosby.
Present.
Councilmember Vega.
Here.
Councilmember Cordova. Present. Mayor Pro Tem Dirk Starbuck.
Present.
Mayor Janelle Osborne.
Here. City Attorney, any action to report from closed session?
Thank you, Mayor. The City Council met in closed session to discuss the two items on the agenda, one existing litigation item and one conference with labor negotiators. The City Council did discuss both of those items with staff, but no reportable action was taken.
Thank you. If you'll please rise and join me for the invocation by Mr. Morris Sobani, and then remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance.
O thou kind Lord, this gathering is turning to thee. These hearts are radiant with thy love. These mind and spirit are exhilarated by the message of thy glad tidings. O God, let this American democracy become glorious in a spiritual degree, even as it has aspired in material degree. And render this just government victorious. Confirm this revered nation to appraise the standard of oneness of humanity, to promulgate the most great peace, to become the most glorious and praiseworthy among all the nations of the world. O God, this American nation is worthy of thy favor and is deserving of thy mercy. Make it precious and near to thee, to thy bounty and bestowal.
Thank you. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. City Manager report, please.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. It's just a short one tonight. It's a reminder to everybody that July does have the extra week in it, and because of that, our next meeting will seem a little farther out, but it'll be not until August 6th. And just remind everybody about our Friday, the Old Town Market series, and come out and visit and see what's going on. We'll have our employee city staff there this week. So that was it.
Thank you. We will now move to consent calendar and open the floor for comment on consent calendar item for a maximum of 3 minutes. Seeing no one rise, we will close public comment on consent calendar. All items listed under consent calendar are considered to be routine and will be enacted after one motion in the form listed below. There will be no separate discussion of these items unless good cause is shown prior to the council vote. Any items withdrawn from the consent calendar for separate discussion will be addressed immediately before the second oral communications near the end of the meeting. Are there any requests for items to be pulled, or I have a motion?
Mayor?
Yes.
I do need to request that we pull item number 5.
Okay. So item 5 has been pulled by the city attorney, so we are looking at items 1 through 4. Councilmember Mosby.
I just was wondering if we could have a component of item 3 read into the record. Being that it's not necessarily common or normal, something a little bit out of the ordinary, but I wonder if section 3 of the resolution, if the city clerk could read that, items A through E into the record.
City attorney should
There you go.
Oh,
3, items A through E.
Resolution number 6270, parentheses 19, Section 3. The City Council's determination is based on the following findings. The record does not contain any evidence demonstrating that VHS produces liquid waste containing an excessive amount of fat, oil, or grease. VHS's only food production is the production of a small number of salads, sandwiches, and smoothies. The record does not contain any evidence that VHS has experienced sewer pipe blockages in the past, whether from excessive grease or from any other cause. The record does not contain any evidence that VHS's operations have ever resulted in wastewater contamination. Consequently, the record does not contain sufficient evidence to demonstrate that the installation of a grease trap or interceptor at VHS is necessary for the protection of the wastewater system from liquid wastes containing excessive amounts of grease. Lompoc Municipal Code 13.16.370A.
Thank you. That was, for those who weren't getting, the VHS is the vitamin herb store. That was the appeal, the item that is the approval of the appeal for not enforcing a grease interceptor.
Any other questions or comments before we move to a motion? Seeing none, Councilmember Starbuck.
I'll go ahead and move we accept consent calendar items 1 through 4.
Thank you. Councilmember Vega. Seconded. Any questions, comments? Let's vote. That passes 5-0 on items 1 through 4 with item 5 pulled. Now we will have staff presentations.
Mayor?
Yes.
I'm sorry. When I said pull item 5, I just meant pull it from the consent calendar so that I could address it now.
Later? Okay. Now?
My apologies for the
Sure.
misunderstanding.
Okay.
Item 5 is the resolution to change the general plan map designation of the Cypress Court parcel, and also, I'm sorry, a parcel at the northwest corner of 7th and Cypress, change the general plan designation from office commercial to mixed use, and to change the general plan map designation of a portion of one parcel at the southwest corner of 7th and Ocean from office commercial to mixed use, and also introduce an ordinance that makes zoning map amendments from commercial office to mixed use for both of those parcels, and also to make findings related to an EIR addendum prepared pursuant to the California Environmental Quality Act for those two actions. Just wanted to clarify that staff's recommendation is to adopt the resolution, introduce the ordinance, and to make those EIR findings, which are already in the ordinances. The agenda was a little bit unclear about that, but the only reason I pulled it is to clarify what staff's recommendation was.
And so now we may take a motion on that and move forward on it?
Yes, please.
Okay. And now, a motion from Councilmember Starbuck.
I'll go ahead and move that we adopt item 5 on the consent calendar.
Thank you. Councilmember Cordova?
Since I voted against this particular one, would it be okay if I guess I vote against it at this juncture?
Absolutely.
All right.
Okay. Do I have a second?
I'll give you a second.
Thank you, Councilmember Vega. We have a second from Councilmember Vega. Any additional questions or concerns? Seeing none, we will take a vote. And that passes 4-1, item 5. Now we'll move on to staff presentations, announcements, and requests. Utility Director Brad Wilkie will now introduce the newly hired Administrative Analyst and Utility Conservative Representative.
You took my thunder away. So, I am introducing a couple of new staff for the Utilities Division, Utilities Department. First of all, I'd like to introduce Kristen Worthley, the city's new Administrative Analyst. She previously worked with Southern Cal Edison in charge of compliance training for the company's line workers. She started about 3 weeks ago, and later in the meeting, there's a recommendation to have her replace me as the western area representative of the San Ynez River groundwater basin. So please join me in welcoming Kristen. And before we go do that, Frances Gonzalez, she's been a city employee for some time. She's moved over from the Treasury Department to Utilities as the Utility Conservation Representative. She takes over for Jennifer Main, who is still with the city as in the Electric Utility Division. She's been helping out, doing 2 jobs now for about 6 months, and we thank her very much for that work. She's bringing Frances up to speed, and Frances has a wealth of knowledge about the city and city customers from being in the Treasury Division for quite a while. So please join me in welcoming them to the city team.
Welcome.
I told them it was okay if they just stood up back there. So as new people, they're just wanting to get caught up and come up to speed on things, and they're doing that quite well. At a near future meeting, I'll be introducing the new wastewater superintendent who started on Monday. So thank you.
Thank you. Welcome to you both. And now we will have the Electric Utility Manager, Tegan Singh, present an update on the impact of Pacific Gas and Electric, or PG&E as we know them, Public Safety Power Shutoff Program and its effects on the city of Lompoc.
Thank you.
Good evening, Mayor, Council, public. My name is Tegan Singh. I'm the Electric Utility Manager. And I put together a few slides for you about the Public Safety Power Shutoff Program from PG&E and the impact to the city. Okay. In this presentation, I'm going to talk about, give a little overview of Lompoc Electric, the PSPS program, Public Safety Power Shutoff, who will be impacted, and what are we doing to mitigate the impact. As most of you already know, City of Lompoc owns its own electric utility. It was established in 1923. What it means, we own our own power generation and procurement. We have our own distribution facilities, but we use PG&E for transmission. This utility model will help understand how power gets transmitted and Lompoc's role in it. So what I did, this is the very basic model of a electric utility. It could be divided in 3 sections: generation, transmission, and distribution. Generation is essentially production of those electrons, power. For us, it happens up north. These electrons are moved through these power lines, and that in these big towers you may see on freeways, that's transmission. PG&E owns that. And once it gets to our city, it's distributed through power poles or underground to our end customers. We're very proud in electric to say reliability exceeds any of our potential competitors, and we offer all of this at cheaper rates than our competitors. We were recognized nationwide for our reliability. One of the indices that we use is a SAIDI. These are our KPIs, the key performance indicators. It shows the number of minutes a customer of Lompoc experiences sustained outage in a given year. And you could see, so the lower the number, the better it is. And you could see we're way more reliable than any of our competitors. However, this may change with the PSPS event, which is beyond our control. Okay. So what is PSPS? It is PG&E's attempt to help prevent start of a wildfire from their equipment. Okay. What we've been told, this could occur if they deem extreme fire danger conditions threaten a portion of electric system. They could shut off power to transmission lines that feed our area. And our city will be out of power at that point. It could last for more than 2 days, and we urge that customers must be prepared. Again, this is something beyond our control, and our city will be impacted. This is a map of Lompoc and surrounding. It shows Tier 2, Tier 3 areas that are high risk wildfire areas. Even though even if there is no fire in Lompoc area, but the transmission lines coming to Lompoc were in that area, they're at risk. So we've been in constant communication with PG&E. We wanted to know when this would happen. So we're prepared. We could let our customers know exactly when this could happen. This is the best we could get out of them. This is PG&E slide. Okay. According to them, these factors will result in a PSPS event. For instance, a red flag warning from National Weather Service, low humidity levels, sustained winds. This was a big one for us. We pushed PG&E to get answers because it's windy in Lompoc. So does that mean this event will occur? We were not able to get definitive answers from them. Okay. All right, so if a PSPS event were to occur, who will be impacted? All of our customers will be, the entire city, businesses, hospitals, residential customers, utilities, city facilities, everyone. Okay. Even though this is a result of PG&E's action, we looked into it and thought, okay, what could we do? So we came up with this 4-step approach, which is educate our customers about the PSPS events, notify key accounts of PSPS events before they happen. During a PSPS event, we'll provide updated information, and then mitigate the impact of PSPS on essential city services. Okay. To educate our customers about PSPS, we'll be doing a press release following this presentation. provide information on city's website and social media. It's already on our website as we speak. Contact key account customers, utilities. We have already communicated what could occur during this event. Public safety, hospitals and healthcare facilities, and also our medical discount customers. Okay, so the second step was to notify customers before and during PSPS events. Okay. PG&E assured us they'll give us a 48-hour advance notice if they deemed an area was a wildfire risk, and they will shut off power. And first notice may be as little as 24 hours. During this event, we'll do a press release, update on our city website, push information through social media, and also direct our customers to PG&E's website for more information. PG&E is also will be sending information through their website as well as their TV and social media channels as well. We will try to contact our key accounts directly. That would be utilities again, utilities, public safety, hospitals, and our medical discount customers. Okay. And the last step was to mitigate the impact of PSPS event on other city facilities. We worked with our other utilities, water, wastewater, and trash. So during that event, during the PSPS event, we will have the other services available, all three of them. But, excuse me. Since we're not able to provide electric service during this event, what we thought could be a gesture of customer service and will help us safe install of generators. We're offering our customers, whoever gets a generator, will pay for their permit fees. Okay. This is for safety of our customers and all our electric staff as well. All right, so in summary, Lompoc owns its own electric utility. Customers benefit from lower rates and high reliability. PG&E's PSPS program will impact all our customers. This is beyond our control, but we will do the best we can to educate and provide notice to our customers when the events will occur. Essential utilities will be operational: water, wastewater, and trash. And we urge our customers to prepare for PSPS events, and further resources are available on these websites. Well, that's all I have prepared. I'm available for any questions.
Thank you, Mr. Singh. I really appreciate you bringing this forward. I know as the city's representative to Northern California Power, as a result of being a member of that, we've been on high alert about this decision by PG&E in order to reduce potential impacts by the transmission lines potentially causing the fires, and have been quite concerned that they are our transmission of our own power to us. So I appreciate that. I think what I'd like to see added is maybe a notice in our utility bills to notify those who might not have seen this and might not go to the city website or to our social media, but those that are, do get their utility bills could see it, and maybe add some tips about how to deal with it, and recommend things like independent chargers for your cell phones, wind up the radios that same thing you might have prepared for an earthquake, but not as extreme, just so you can reach out and get information through traditional methods that might be utilized when we are in a similar emergency situation, just as a backup. So that would be helpful, I think. Councilmember Mosby.
In the past, I've mentioned this about potentially getting a generator for our radio station. And I think this would be a great time to get something, like we have 100.9, right? And what a great way to get the word out there. We do have a lot of people who still in this town aren't using internet and the social media component like we have. But the radio, there are a lot of people who listen to the radio. And if we start getting that out there, I mean, maybe we can piggyback with some of the other enterprises to use that as well. But definitely, I think this is an opportunity here, having a radio station and the ability to combine this for disaster reasons. I think, because we have the station, but we don't have a generator up there. So I remember, 2 years ago when the power was out, and we were close to some, let's just call it spectacular activities that were happening in town. But a lot of people didn't know what's going on, and sometimes you get to PG&E, you got to wait a long time to hear. But we have an opportunity that's unique to ourselves. So maybe, I don't know if it would be something, what's in the financial capabilities of the city manager, but maybe it would be an opportunity we could look into doing. I don't know if I need to make that later on as a council request or not. At least, I guess that was a head nod, yes.
Yeah, I was going to say, we had a discussion when Teakin and Brad and I were talking about this, about other locations that might benefit from some kind of a backup generator. And then we run into, some issues with the air quality, what kind of generator. So we'll
Size. Keep
yeah,
it small
size
enough
too.
you don't have to deal with APCD too much, right?
Yep.
And I'd fully support that, Mr. Mosby. Councilmember Vega.
Teagan, now that we have some notice, or we will be getting at least 24 hours notice, is there some sort of maintenance component that's going to be built into this program, either locally or through PG&E? Because probably this is a result of risk management, probably on the PG&E side also. It could be a deterrent as far as risk management because of wind and a fire hazard, but I'm wondering, did they indicate anything on a maintenance end, on their end? And is this something you've looked at? Because if we know we're going to be down for 24 to 48 hours, does that incorporate any additional maintenance that could benefit the city of Lompoc during that downtime?
For our utility, we are looking at areas inside the city that could cause a wildfire. So we're already working on that. So that's for the city. But PG&E has started going around, at least in our area, and they are doing vegetation management, which is a big deal. And they're also looking into upgrading their facilities as well.
Thank you.
Does that answer your question?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Any more questions?
Mayor, may I?
Yes.
Real quick, just going to ask Teakin if you can explain a little bit more on the reason for our offering of the permits for the generators and what the safety issues are.
Our customers expect, they have grown to expect reliability from us. And we're in a situation, this is out of our hands. Okay? So we thought, okay, what could we do to help our customers? So we are pushing information as it comes available, and also for our safety, our customers. Okay, that's very important, and also for my staff. Now, if a generator is not connected properly to a house panel, it could backfeed into our grid, and it could impact our employees that are working. So we thought, okay, this is a good opportunity to get it safely installed, and we will pay, electric will pay out of its fund for the permit fees.
Councilmember Cordova.
Business or residential?
Both, yes.
Councilmember Mosby.
Maybe that item should be brought to council for approval. Is that something that's in the purview? Maybe the city attorney could ask, because that seems to me like it's a funding mechanism being approved by a staff level. Maybe that should be brought forward to council for a full presentation to acceptance, so we could actually see a cost estimate that we're looking at as well. I don't know, maybe the city attorney could answer that. It seems to me like that should be brought up here for discussion and full levels of transparency.
If you would like it to be brought to the council, you can make that as a council request.
Well, then maybe, let me make it as a council request right now, and if I get two others to go left, we could get to come back so we can see. I think we're talking about some significant numbers here, or maybe not, but it's something that's the city's utility, and as, I think we should know what we're getting into.
I just want to make a comment, but if it's a council request, we'll oblige. This is under.
Maybe so I can
the
get two other people
Sure,
first.
Sorry.
If I may, part of this conversation is timely because while we don't know when or if a PSPS event will happen, there has already been one that has happened in Northern California. So I think Teacon's concern, and I mirror that, is I would like to be able to see where that you might affirm something like that, because we could easily have several people that would like to do this immediately, because we're heading right into the high season of fire danger. So if there's something that happens between now and that point in time where we have it brought back to council, there may have already been several installed without permits. So we're trying to provide safety to the lineman workers that would be out there working on the poles. So.
Councilmember Starbuck.
What does the permit cost?
This would account for a residential install about $100 to $120.
How many do you expect?
I can't give you a number. I would urge as many people who could afford to have one come in and get one.
It really depends on the preparedness of the individuals, because I had one person call in to find out how likely this could happen, which we can't answer, we don't know. But we do have backup generators on our water facility and our wastewater facility. So those two will be able to operate even during this issue. So people will have the ability to have hot showers, they'll be able to use the water, they'll be able to use their sewer facilities. So primarily the one thing they won't be able to use are lights in their house at night. They probably wouldn't have to be able to use, they probably wouldn't be able to use their TVs, because the Comcast won't be working during that time. So we're talking really about refrigeration and lights. And if it's only if PG&E determines it's only a small event, the recommendation would be to try to minimize the use of your refrigerator and just wait it out. It could be longer than that, so some people will have to make a decision whether they want to try to mitigate that for their own resources, which would be their refrigeration and lights. So, but as Teacan said, there's no way to tell if we'll have 10 people do this or 1,000. So it just depends. So,
Councilmember Cordova.
Is the permit cost roughly the same for residential, for commercial?
Commercial may be a little different. It would be something case by case that we have to look into. But if I could comment on the cost and legality of it, we did look into Prop 26, and it does comply with it, since it benefits our ratepayers and our safety of our employees. From that end, we do comply with Prop 26.
Councilmember Starbuck.
Yeah, I'm probably not going to go along with the staff report on this, but if we had 1,000 people at $100 that we're going to take out of our reserve and electric, I think maybe it's something we should know about. Honestly, I don't see very many people taking advantage of it, because they're not going to go out and spend thousands of dollars on a generator. But, if this is something that if we did get 25, 50 people, maybe we should know about this then.
if you may, that was not really my intent of what I brought up. I just talked about, what I was trying to mention is the timing. If 3 council members want this to be brought back, certainly will be brought back, but I'm just looking at the interim period where people might be getting them with or without permit. So at the very least, when we talk about it, it might be something that might be retroactive to this date or something like that. So there's avenues to get there. I just want to point out there's some timeliness involved here.
So we have a council request on the floor from Councilmember Mosby, and he needs 2 to support it.
I'll give a second to support that the information be brought to council for public transparency.
So you seconded the information. He was requesting an approval.
Yes, so I'll give a second, okay?
All right. So you have your second.
And again, if I could continue on a little bit here, I mean, the opposition party's got to speak on this, but I think it's important as being the elected body that if staff are making these recommendations to spend the people's money, that it should be done transparently through the council. And if it is something that needs to be come back expeditiously, then I'll enhance my request that it be done in 3 weeks, or at the next council meeting that the staff report come back. Obviously, they had time to put this together and communications at the Utility Commission, but I just think it's important that if we're moving forward with something like this, it should be done publicly and transparently.
So we have a motion and a second. It needs a third. Seeing no third, it fails. So thank you for putting this program together. Thank you. Please bring us notification if you see a huge influx, and we do need to reconsider that it will. I think at that time it would be appropriate to notify us. Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, we will move on to oral communications. This is 3 minutes regarding city matters that are not on the agenda. Please come to the front.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. My name is Michael Baker, CEO for United Boys and Girls Club, Santa Barbara County. Just want to give you a quick update on the programming at the Lompoc Club. We're thriving right now. If you haven't been in there in a while, I certainly encourage you to come in. Just today, we had well over 120 kids in the facility. All kinds of activities happening all day long, and it's something that we're looking to grow even more. If you know of children that are in need of services at the Boys and Girls Club, certainly encourage them. It isn't about the funding, it's a matter of making sure that we reach those kids that need our services the most. This coming Saturday, we have a special opportunity that's happening. As you may be aware, part of United Boys and Girls Clubs, not only do we have the club here in Lompoc, we have Carpinteria, Goleta, the west side of Santa Barbara, Buellton, now Solvang, as well as is Camp Whittier. We have reopened Camp Whittier, and we are having a big celebration this coming Saturday and inviting the public to come out. All school-age children, accompanied by adults, are welcome to come to Camp Whittier and enjoy the camp from 10 to 4 this coming Saturday. No fees whatsoever. We'll have all kinds of activities happening. We will be providing hot dogs and beverages for the kids as well as parents. But again, that will be happening this coming Saturday from 10 to 4, Camp Whittier. If you have any questions, you can certainly call me at the office at 805-681-1315. Again, that's 805-681-1315. And a continued thank you to all of you for your support of the United Boys and Girls Clubs. We're doing everything we can to make a difference, and certainly that's made possible through what's going to be an upcoming CDBG support as well. So appreciate that very much. Thank you.
Thank you.
Keith Fikert, resident of Lompoc. I just wanted to thank you guys so much for the support from the city for the West Coast Cup fly-in. I don't know if you guys seen this front page of the Lompoc Record that the Piper Cub fly-in thrills. Vintage airplanes converge on above the Lompoc Valley. So I just wanted to thank the city, our residents for coming and supporting the event, and most importantly, our volunteers and the attendees who spend a significant amount of their time and money to come and visit our community. And we can't do it without any of you guys. So thank you guys so much. Our organization is planning on having an after-action summary, and we will compile that report, and we will have it available for each of the council members at the next council meeting in August. Because I think I was here a little while back talking about having possible relief for the Experimental Aircraft Association's hangar at the airport as we store all of the tables and chairs and decorations and everything that's for the event there. The hangar rents have gone up another 10% as of this month, and that's made it be a significant amount of thousands that goes into city rents. And we're a 501c3 nonprofit organization. So we're not asking for free, but we're asking for just for some relief, just so we can continue to keep this successful event in our community, as we just celebrated 35 years of having this. I think it's one of the longest running flying events of this type in the country. So again, thank you guys so much for your time and supporting the event. Thank you.
Thank you.
Dear Mayor, City Council, staff, and community, my name is Carlos M. Lopez. I'm a student at Allen Hancock College. I'm here to ask to not sign with the MOU with Pale Blue Dot tonight. There are compelling reasons that the city has not properly conducted an NA with Ava Baisdale and her Space Center. Some of those will be mentioned tonight by me and others. I am speaking now because many people will not stay until the seventh item on the agenda. You will hear again about the continuous variations of the RAND Act. You will hear about how the Pell being presented for MOU agreement tonight did not originate with the current entity, and they will have modified little anything from Ava Baisdale visionary concept. You will hear about Steve Franklin's proportion and effectiveness of Ava Baisdale's California Space Center. You will also hear testimony about the community passion, promotion, and support given by Ava Baisdale and Sue Copeland, even after the council voted termination of the ENA. I would like to ask the company that they know and what they've done for the people for Lompoc in the last 4 years. I want to share what Ms. Copeland and Lady Rocket have done for me. I met Ava Baisdale in my arbiter class with my teacher, Ms. Sue Copeland. I did a presentation on my plans for a future company, and Ms. Baisdale comment on how wonderful my plan and my ideas. She inspired me to continue making my idea a reality. Also, she let me work with her and continue to mentoring me. She continues to support my ideas and my artwork. She has been here to support me and other students. She travels all the time to continue helping me and other students. I see more support and effort from her on me and the students and the Space Center than anyone. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm Don Smith, and I'm 20 years out of date. I was California Spaceport Authority under Governor Wilson. At that time, there was on South Vandenberg, a complete power station developed in order to support, during outages, Slick 6 and the other launch sites. Has there been any indication by you people in the city of being able to connect to that power station? It may not be in operation today, but it might be an asset that you might want to use by having people available to run it if there is a long duration of power outage. So I just wanted to bring it to your attention. It was a complete setup for all of South Vandenberg. When I built the commercial spaceport, I made sure that we were included in that station's output, but it's I don't know if it's even manned today, if there's anybody down there. So I thought you might want to be interested in that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. My name's Sue Copeland, and you, Council, you should have received some emails and more are coming. Eva Blaisdell and I have been very busy with hosting our visitors to Lompoc, and we did not see the that you were considering the MOU until late last night. We have hosted major music industry executives just Sunday night at Hangar 7, that we are planning fundraising concerts to benefit the Lompoc community and Lady Rocket Foundation and the Boys and Girls Club. We have also partnered with the Institute of Exotic Sciences with Huntsville, Alabama. We are currently creating an incubator together to be located in Lompoc for space technology advancement, and we have investors, and the projects have been defined. I'm saying all of this because we are bringing to the table more than just something 3 or 4 or 5 years from now. Eva Blaisdell, we are asking that you do not sign the MOU tonight. We believe that you are jumping the gun. I have asked repeatedly to speak with the mayor and with the city council or city manager to bring forth the things that we are doing, and I've been refused or ignored. And that, I'm asking that you are mentioning again that you have not put it out to bid, that you're putting up property for sale from the city, and that the process for the CSC was not legally closed. I want to go over quick things right here. Look at quickly on the screen here. To the left is Eva's project, and to the right, what do you know? Looks like Steve's. Okay, that design again. In the MOU, if you had a chance to read it, it talks about a convention hall, research park, and hotel. They are not on their design there. Steve had said he was a part of the original California Space Center. He was in charge of finding the money. Okay. Eva secured within 6 months, $150 million from one, $14 million from another, and 5 to 10 from another. Those were not recognized. In the presentation by Pale Blue Dot, they said that they have identified the capital resources already, so why do they need 365 additional days beyond the 4 months for their seed funding, and then possibly another 180 additional days to complete the MOU, plus 360 days in the ENA to fund? I'm asking the council, when there's next steps, we're number 1, to look at executive dealing period of 12 months. Number 3 was present the results and enter into negotiations to acquire the property. The city council and the city staff have jumped ahead, and they've been going for 5 meetings of closed sessions discussing terms of sale. And that's what I've been pulling out and talking about continually with the Brown Act. So here, the city staff report mentions these things that were never actually, they were in Eva Blaisdell's project, but they haven't been mentioned in Pale Blue Dot, so I really don't know if that's part of Pale Blue Dot or not, with the convention hall, research park, and hotel.
I need you to wrap it up. Your 3 minutes are over.
Thank you. And this has been a continual problem. So research park, are those going to be included or not? Entertainment center, we're missing a lot of things. And we've been overstepping our Brown Act. Okay, it is government agencies involved in enormous multifaceted transactions, often are using the real property portion of the potential transaction to discuss the entire matter in secret. We have had no discussion publicly about this. Thank you. Mm-hmm.
Seeing no one else rise, we will close oral communications and bring it back to the council agenda for item number 6, appointments. The council appointment of City of Lompoc Administrative Analyst Kristen Worthley as alternate representative for the western area of the Santa Ynez River Valley Groundwater Basin. Do I have a motion on the floor to support that? Councilmember Starbuck.
Who was? Wilkie?
Wilkie.
Who's the council rep? Mosby?
Yes.
You two will get along fine. I'll go ahead and move.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
Councilmember Cordova has seconded. Do we have any discussion? Seeing no discussion, let's vote. And that passes 5-0. Item number 7, new business. Approval of a memorandum of understanding with Pale Blue Dot Ventures LLC for potential sale of approximately 82 acres of city-owned property, including and adjacent to Ken Adam Park, for development of a space center, presented by our City Attorney Jeff Malave.
Good evening, Mayor and council members. As the mayor stated, we are here to consider a memorandum of understanding with Pale Blue Dot Ventures LLC for the potential sale of 82 acres of city-owned property adjacent to and including Ken Adam Park for the potential development of a space center. At the City Council meeting of March 5th, 2019, Steve Frank of Pale Blue Dot, joined by Bob Allen, David Exline, and Kelly Pounds, gave a presentation proposing a space-themed project and related visitor center comprised of entertaining and educationally sound attractions and related experiences, parkland, museum, education facility, convention hall, research business park, and possible amphitheater, hotel, restaurants, theater, retail, and associated parking and aesthetic improvements on the city-owned site. PVD, Pale Blue Dot, asked the City Council to consider an exclusive agreement to pursue the transfer of the site to Pale Blue Dot to pursue the proposed project. PBD, Pale Blue Dot, also proposed that the city hold the site off of the market for a period of 12 months, while Pale Blue Dot took a period of time to raise funds and to develop a conceptual design plan for the project while negotiating transfer of the site with the city. The City Council directed staff to return at a later date to discuss and possibly take action regarding the possible transfer of the site and the proposed project on the site. After that, the council after that City Council direction, the City Manager and the City Attorney have had several discussions with Pale Blue Dot and the representatives and closed sessions with the City Council to determine if the parties could negotiate a possible path for sale of the site to move forward with the project. Those discussions have resulted in development of an 18-month MOU to guide Pale Blue Dot and the city with future negotiations for the property. That proposed MOU, is attached to your staff report. The MOU being presented to the council tonight has been agreed to by Pale Blue Dot and is being recommended for approval by the city manager and the city attorney after all public comment and public input that the public may wish to give on this item tonight to persuade the council either way. A summary of some of the MOU provisions that are presented tonight are the following. The term of the MOU is 545 days. During that term, the city is agreeing not to negotiate with any other party for sale or development of the project site, nor to consider any land use decisions for the project site. Within 365 days after the MOU is executed, Pale Blue Dot will be required to provide evidence of seed funding for the project in an amount of not less than $750,000. At least $500,000 of that $750,000 must be in cash, and the remainder can be in third-party services, soft costs, and professional fees, as approved by the city manager. Also within 365 days, Pale Blue Dot must submit a concept and feasibility study and experience design plan, and that's going to be reviewed by the City Council at a public meeting, after which the council will be able to provide comments to Pale Blue Dot. on their conceptual plan. During the MOU, Pale Blue Dot and the city will agree or are agreeing to work in good faith to negotiate an exclusive negotiation agreement and/or a disposition and development agreement, ultimately to convey ownership of the property to Pale Blue Dot for the project. The parties are also agreeing in this MOU to work together to obtain the required federal legislation to modify the land use restrictions that are on that site. There are certain federal restrictions that are on that site that limit its uses that were placed on the site when the city obtained it. Pale Blue Dot is agreeing to cover all of the city's staff and attorney costs during the term of this MOU for city staff and city attorney work on the items during the MOU, up to a cap of $50,000. That $50,000 cap does not apply to any city work done to comply with CEQA, the California Environmental Quality Act. It also does not apply to any zoning or general plan changes that would be needed for the project. The $50,000 cap that Pale Blue Dot must reimburse the city for does not apply to those two items. If there's litigation regarding the MOU, Pale Blue Dot is agreeing to cover the city's costs, attorney's fees in that litigation, also up to $50,000. Termination provisions for this MOU. Pale Blue Dot essentially can terminate the MOU anytime it wishes upon 20 days' notice for any reason. The city can terminate the MOU if Pale Blue Dot fails to, if after that $50,000, either of those $50,000 cost caps are depleted, if the city requests additional funds because we're continuing to work on incur staff costs during the term of the MOU, and Pale Blue Dot does not agree to increase that $50,000 cap in order to allow us to keep working, we have the right to terminate the agreement. Pale Blue Dot does understand that the city cannot actually commit to conveying the site to them until, among other things, CEQA review is performed for the transfer of the site and the project, and a formal disposition and development agreement is executed by Pale Blue Dot and the city. After all of the required public hearings for those two items, and based on that, the MOU does not commit the city to sale of the site. It is just the first step in the process of negotiating the sale of the site. The city's financial real estate consultant, Kathy Head of Keyser Marston Associates, has reviewed this MOU and agrees that it provides a reasonable framework for pursuing the sale of the site and the project at this time. And for the above reasons, staff does recommend tonight that the City Council take public comment so that the public can discuss this item and make any comments it wishes to the council, and approve the MOU with Pale Blue Dot. We also have tonight in attendance Steve Frank from Pale Blue Dot Ventures, who would like to give a presentation to the council before we take public comment. Thank you, and I can address any questions now or after the presentation from Pale Blue Dot or after public comment.
Any questions for our city attorney prior to presentation by Mr. Frank? Seeing none, we'll move to Mr. Frank's presentation.
Well, first, thank you for making time for me again. I'm Steve Frank, and I'm joined by Bob Allen, who's, of course, the creative lead on this project. And we have just a very short 5-minute presentation. Okay, there's a couple of big themes going on in the world of space and space exploration. So let me just touch on those just very briefly. So, we've looked at this project. It says 24 months, but it's actually been almost 5 years. The first theme is that satellites are getting smaller, they're getting smarter, and they're getting a lot less expensive. And that means that our reliance on them is also growing exponentially. And this is what is really accelerating the economics of space. So these satellites have, many of which are launched right here from Vandenberg, have vast data sets, and those are driving new emerging technologies. And this is going to transform industries over the coming decade. So what that means is there's the term of art is the new space, but there's an ecosystem which is developing where we build these satellites. A lot of them are built down in LA and other places. The smaller ones are built in many different places. We launch them right here and other places. They generate a lot of data. That data's got to be downloaded and downlinked, so you have to have ground stations. You have to store this data someplace in server farms. You have to have people analyze this data, and then you have to create a product. And so let me give you an example of that. And what's happened is these applications are happening in specific verticals like finance, agriculture, I'll come back to in a minute, logistics and energy, maritime, transport, environment, government, construction. So it's having a big impact in a lot of different places. It's driven by smaller satellites, smarter and more sophisticated and less expensive satellites. Let me give you an example of a product. I took the train, I got here a couple of days early. I took the train from from Spokane to Santa Barbara. And as we got into Monterey County, there was very, very flat fields. I think there were strawberry fields or artichokes. And there was a guy on the train that was talking about this, and it said, basically they said that through satellite technology, they microplane these fields to make them absolutely perfectly flat. So, and the reason why is because during the severe drought that we've had, they found that if there's any undulations in the land, it's 30% more water used to water the strawberries or the artichoke. So there's a very a real tangible example that's just done right up the road in Monterey County. And you might have a driver in this tractor, and actually he's actually not driving the tractor. He's there to make sure it doesn't run off the road. And the tractors, because they're all GPS controlled, they can make much tighter turns. You can farm and get better yields. So the second big theme is that, almost 50 years ago, almost today, for some of us of a certain age, we can remember watching those first moon landings on our black and white TVs at about 2 o'clock in the morning or so. And in the next 5 or 15 years, Vice President Pence was just here last week. The next 5 or 15 years, we're going back to the moon. Hopefully it'll be us first and not someone else, and then we're going on to Mars. The other thing is that global box office receipts for space reality and space fantasy movies is well over $10 billion. So theoretically, the economy is pretty strong, and theoretically, the timing could not be better. So our aim right now with this project is to create a venue with a global draw. So we don't have a small vision. We want to celebrate the science and the story of space exploration. We want to deliver educational content through themed entertainment. And we have one of the best guys in the world to help us do that. Bob's here, and his firm, Ideas, has over 40 years of experience in destination design, branding, and operations. And that's the team. Bob's got the creative lead, and then Integrated Insights will handle the market analytics. David Exline is an architect who's done similar projects around the world. What we bring to Lompoc is construction employment, obviously, some hospitality, office and technical employment. Bed and sales tax, we think will go up. We've done some numbers, and the number is pretty impressive. Tourism spend will increase brand value of the town and land appreciation. So our early vision is a 6 to 8 hour guest stay. We want to leverage space industry training techniques, kind of, for instance, kind of have a California space camp is one thing that we would think about. We want to do the best fit augmented and virtual reality and theatrical and kinetic and other themed entertainment delivery systems. That's Bob's wheelhouse. This design program will emerge from the initial concept work. So some of the questions you might have tonight, we're probably going to say we really can't answer right now. We need to do this initial design work, and that's what that initial capital for, and we've begun meeting with potential capital partners. So I want to just say again, thank you to the mayor and the city council for your patience, for the legal team. It's been a lot of back and forth, and the city manager also for all your help, and we're ready to take your questions. Bob, did I miss anything?
Any questions for Mr. Frank? Seeing none, we'll return this discussion to council. Any questions for city attorney, staff, or the Pale Blue Dot organizers before we go to public comment? Okay, thank you. We'll now open this for public comment. You have 3 minutes. Please step forward if you would like to speak on this matter.
Keith Fikert, resident of Lompoc. So one of the things I think is kind of interesting is like the city of Monterey is about just under 30,000 people. But I want to say probably everybody in this room has probably been to the Monterey Bay Aquarium at least once in their life. Having an opportunity like this to have an anchor to bring people to your community and to bring the population and just people to have awareness and education and have it a part of our community is kind of a really exciting endeavor. This is rather exciting, and I'm just hoping that you guys will be able to consider their guys' MOU and see what they have to offer. And thank you guys so much for your time.
Thank you.
Susan Gallagher, resident of Lompoc. In Lompoc, we are space. And we've looked at this project before, at least 3 times that I can remember now. And this property was deeded for education and space by Ronald Reagan. And I please ask you to allow Pale Blue Dot to explore, not sell, explore this adventure, because it's in Houston Space Center, or it's just now Johnson and Cape Canaveral. And we have a lot to share with the world.
Thank you. Please come up if you intend to speak.
Good evening. I'm Patricia Fresh. I'm a village resident and also the wife of the former commercial space representative for Wilson in the state. And what I would really like to see the city do is encourage more of an educational environment for the youth to understand what Vandenberg is all about and the firsts that have happened at Vandenberg. And if you're going to pursue this project to benefit the city, the land that you're considering selling is very precious. And my husband was intimately involved with getting the Allen Hancock campus established here in Lompoc. And it was actually, it was a bipartisan project with Jack O'Connell. So, as he said, we go back a long way, and we love Lompoc. He was first here in '59. I was first here in about '64. And my daughter was born on the hospital when it was actually there operating on the base. She also happened to celebrate her first birthday the day that man walked on the moon. And Don was there for the launch of Apollo 11. So this is a really big deal. And I just hope that you get the support and involvement from the citizens to let Lompoc express what is important for all of us as a city and as a community if this project goes forward. Because there's a lot of not just memories, but very rich history here that goes back a long way. So thank you for letting me talk to you. And again, what we want to see is Lompoc benefit from this, because I've been to some of the other facilities, especially in Florida, and I remember the last time we were there, which was like 15, 20 years ago, and we're dying of thirst, and it costs $2.50 just to buy a bottle of water. And I don't want to see that. I want to see that the community and the citizens who come, the people who come, have a really good experience. And I don't know how you can control that, but you're about to venture into a really precious area as far as I can see selling that property. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, Mark Hashimala, resident, 16 years now. I just wanted to support this. This is a great opportunity for Lompoc to move forward and with growth and good opportunity. I support the pale blue dot, and please consider the MOU for them. And I thank you for what you're doing and this opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you.
Will Schuyler, Lompoc. Great interest in the project. I've been involved in some of the development of what's up there. If you recall, Ken Adam Park was started by the county, and they couldn't afford to keep it. They closed it, brought to city council. The city picked up the property, and a short period of time later made arrangements with Hancock College to put the college up there. Then the park was expanded on the east side. Playground was put in. Then a group came together and wanted to build a spaceport museum out there. And they went to the Corps of Engineers and secured the property out what I call Inspiration Point, where the flagpoles are. And so the city now has all that property. What concerns me here, it says including and adjacent to Ken Adam Park. Now I know we're talking about 82 acres, there was 146 acres originally to start. So is this agreement going to sell part of Ken Adam Park, parts where the restrooms and the playground is, or is this just the Inspiration Point? Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, Mayor Osborne, council members, members of the public. My name is Joe Garcia, and I support bringing a space center to Lompoc. We are known as Rocket Town, and we do not have a rocket, let alone anything else that resembles the space industry that lives right next door to us. Elon Musk is a billionaire who is known worldwide, and he has done marvelous things. He has done what people said could not be done. As all of you know, and everyone in this room knows, when a rocket is going off, hundreds and hundreds of cars come to Lompoc. And right now, we are unable to capitalize on the number of people that are coming in here because they often just come here to watch a rocket and leave. Building this space center will bring not only a sustainable economic privilege to Lompoc, but it'll land us on the map. As a speaker who spoke earlier, who I heard on the radio, spoke of Monterey and the aquarium there, I have to agree with him that even though we may be a small city that is off the grid, we can bring people here, and that is evidenced by what happens. The Vice President of the United States of America was here just a week ago, and he spoke about the possibility of bringing the United States Space Force as headquarters here in Vandenberg Air Force Base. As we all know, this will bring great opportunities to the Lompoc Valley, not only for the military complex, but also for private citizens. Santa Maria Valley currently has already started to capitalize off of space and Space Museum or whatever function they have over there. I think it's very appropriate that the city of Lompoc has this opportunity. We've seen so many opportunities come and pass us by. We often talk about our youth and what our youth can do. Do they have enough opportunity? What can this bring for the people of Lompoc, the youth, and the educational side of things? I heard the city attorney mention the possibility of also bringing an amphitheater to this project, and I would say that I would encourage Steve Frank to definitely implement an amphitheater into this venue. I would also say that because this is going to be focusing on launches and space, that there needs to be consideration for what's going to happen when there's not space launches. What other events can be held at this location? I think of what goes on in San Luis Obispo County, near Shell Beach, Avila. They have concerts. I believe that we have the opportunity with this Space Center to bring in entertainment. Entertainment will bring people. People will stay in our hotels. They will shop in our shopping centers. They will eat in our restaurants. And we will be able to build a sustainable economy. So I definitely support this, and I ask you to support it.
Thank you.
Mayor of Lompoc, City Council members, my name is Darrell Tullis. I'm a member of this community, and just want to also agree with my other city members that spoke, that this is a great project, great opportunity, but I think it also, again, it needs to be done right. And I grew up in Oxnard. They turned a landfill into a sports complex down there. The Oakland Raiders used to practice there. The Dallas Cowboys use it now. And that facility is a great facility, but it did not help the people of Oxnard. It's great when they come in, but when they leave, you know, it didn't help the people. This project, and I've talked about this before, just like we got the public safety facility to come here, I'd love to see whoever builds this project make sure that the kids that grow up here have a chance to get classes, to get certified, to be able to build those satellites that are going to be sent up, to be able to learn about the rocketry that goes on that base. I spent 21 years in the Air Force. The first job that I had was radar. When I got out of the Air Force, within 3 days, I had a job on that base because I knew radar. It's not something that you get every day, and I had never even considered radar when I was in high school or even when I was in junior college. It wasn't until I went into the Air Force, went into the military, that I was introduced to radar, and only because of my aptitude to be able to qualify for electronics. So if we can get this facility built here, our kids won't have to leave here to go and learn how to come back and get a job. The kids that wind up staying here often get themselves in a lot of trouble, and as you know, we're facing a lot of trouble with our youth here in this town right now. And if we had more opportunities for our youth in this town, we wouldn't be having to worry about the police force being short-manned to deal with the problems that our youth are facing. You know, that's another subject, that I want to talk to several of you, if not all of you, about, off the record. But there needs to be something that is an opportunity for these kids built into this project. There's a lot of money that's going to be spent on it, a lot of land that's going to be, given to the whoever buys this, and we need to benefit from it. Thank you.
Thank you. No clapping. I'm sorry. I know you would like to show support, but there's no clapping and there's no booing, so please refrain from showing either.
Good evening, council members. John Lynn, Lompoc resident. So this would be my, I counted, 5th try to be involved in a Space Center project. I was very peripherally involved back in 1988, but since then I've spent a lot more time on it. And you've probably all heard me say this, but I'm going to say it one more time. I've said it at the Economic Development Committee, I've said it to council, and I've given this speech in 100 other places. This is an opportunity to do so many good things for Lompoc. Number one, it's going to put us on the map, and that's good. We'll have tourism as a result of it. Number two, it's going to provide revenue to the city. Number three, it's going to provide badly needed jobs both in construction and in the long-term operation. But number four, and perhaps the most important to me, it's going to provide a vertically integrated opportunity for our youth. It's going to provide them an opportunity as elementary school children to go to the facility and get fired up on space. It's going to provide them an opportunity as high schoolers to go up there and be interactive. It's going to provide them an opportunity to go to Hancock College, which is going to partner with a four-year university to bring space-based education, if you will. And I've had a number of conversations with Hancock president. They have vacant classroom space during the day. They would love to partner with someone. And then it's going to provide degrees for those students. And finally, it's going to provide opportunities for them to work with local aerospace companies while they're in college. And then at the end of the day, when the job call comes, who are you going to hire? You're going to hire somebody that you don't know, or you're going to hire someone that's interned with you and done a great job and has been involved in this program since they were in third grade. And that's the opportunity that it's going to provide for our children. And for their parents, it's going to provide jobs, and for all of us, it's going to be something to be very proud of. I have been frustrated by prior failures to bring this forward for many reasons, and I'm intimately familiar with all of the prior attempts. These guys have put more on the table, and Bob is just such a jewel in knowing how to bring this program together and starting out in a business way and saying, okay, what can this facility do? And that will determine how much money we can spend to build it, as opposed to past philosophies which have been, if we build it, they will come, and have had rather large unreachable price tags. So please, this evening, vote to move it forward, help our kids, help our community. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Seeing no one else rise, we'll close public comment and bring it back to council for discussion, questions. Councilmember Cordova.
I think for all the reasons that our residents have stated just now in regards to the economic impact, the educational component, the vitality that a project like this would bring to Lompoc, I think it's a no-brainer. I support that project coming forward, and I'm hopeful that this attempt will be the attempt that makes a difference and is able to get it off the ground and get it built. I think that Pale Blue Dot Ventures has a big responsibility on their shoulders, being, you know, the new vision to try and bring this project forward. I think there's a lot of anticipation. I think the community has been able to build that sense of what we really want to see because we've been let down prior times before. From the tourism component, I can't tell you enough. You know, speaking knowledgeably on from Explore Lompoc and having that knowledge that that organization has been able to kind of visualize and put on paper and market the Vandenberg Air Force Base and the amount of people that come out here just to view these launches. So there's so many different components, and Lompoc doesn't have to be just one thing. It has all these different elements from our local tourism partners that already exist and have existed here for many years, to the wine industry, to you know, all the other components that we have, and now potentially this one. This would be a true game changer for Lompoc, and it would help us to get to that next level where we can give our residents that quality of life and those areas that they so much want to see. So I hope that this project is able to do that this time around.
Thank you. So many of you know that I have been part of the results of the prior two versions not being very successful because of my very high standards of who would take this project on, who would take over our property of 82 acres and deliver something back to not only tourists, but to our community. And so you still have my commitment on this. This is the first time we've had someone come forward who has the level of experience that is necessary to put together a project like this, has the forethought to have addressed concerns that prior failures failed to deliver on. So I am excited, I am hopeful, but realize I will also be extremely critical during this phase. It is our responsibility to make sure that this project's done right. It is not creating a burden on our community, but a success for our community. So you have a very high standard to meet at Pale Blue Dot, and I hope and believe you can meet it, so I look forward to seeing what you can deliver. Councilmember Mosby.
Nobody else with lights on, I'd like to move forward with a recommendation. Staff's recommendation, make a motion to approve the staff recommendation that the City Council approve the MOU with Pale Blue Dot Ventures LLC to explore the potential sale of the approximately 82 acres of city-owned property next to and including Ken Adam Park for the development of Space Center facilities.
Thank you. Councilmember Cordova.
I will second that.
We have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? Seeing none, we'll vote. And that passes 5-0. Thank you. Written communications.
Nothing.
All right. Now we'll open the floor for oral communications regarding any city matter for 2 minutes. If there is an issue you'd like to speak on regarding city matters for 2 minutes, please step forward to the microphone. Seeing no one rise, we'll close oral communications and bring it back to council requests, comments, and meeting reports. Councilmember Vega.
Nothing to report.
Thank you. Councilmember Cordova.
I attended the Utilities Commission meeting on July 8th, also attended the Parks and Recs Commission meeting on July 9th. I attended the Prop 68 meeting on July 11th. I was present at the Vice President's address at Vandenberg Air Force Base on July 10th. I attended the change of command for Vandenberg Air Force Base on July 12th, and also attended the Old Town Market kickoff on July 5th. And I will be present on Thursday at the newcomers block party at Vandenberg Air Force Base on July 18th.
Thank you. Councilmember Mosby.
I attended several meetings representing the city, none at the city's expense. I did want to make a comment that the budget book is out, available, right? But I did also want to make another comment that I think some things have been happening a little too soon in City Hall. And I noticed the replacement of a lot of furniture in City Hall. And I know we had a rough budget we went through. I noticed there's several TVs that are around the size of 50 inches that are in City Hall. And I just want to say, I think it's a little too early for things to happen to this, because we still haven't, although it's implemented, it might have been some of it carry over from before, but I think the furniture that was there had an opportunity to last a little bit longer. But I just want to put that out there.
Thank you. Councilmember Starbuck.
I have no reports.
Thank you. I attended the city fireworks show, and I want to thank the rec department for organizing it all and the sponsors. Without you, we couldn't put this on. I also had the honor of representing our city with the vice president's visit at the base last Wednesday. I also attended the base change of command for Colonel Mastelier, who's joining 30th Space Wing for the next 2 years. I'm happy to announce that the LAFCO meeting that happened last Thursday, the city manager, myself, and our planning manager attended, and LAFCO did not implement any new additional policies that would have made it more difficult for annexation. Not that annexation is easy, but they did not complicate the matter, so there is some success there. And then I also want to congratulate the Cypress Gallery on its 25th anniversary. They held a celebration this past weekend, and I encourage everyone to go out and take a look at that. A couple of community announcements. The pool will be closed this weekend, Saturday and Sunday, due to a swim meet. So just wanted the community to be aware. And then in return, there's a couple of free events you should consider attending. There's the concert on the lawn at the library this Saturday at 2 p.m., so bring your chairs out and listen to a couple of live musicians. And tomorrow at the library is Roaming Reptiles at 3 p.m. on the lawn. And if you're under 8, you just need to have a parent with you, but there's some exciting free things going on in our community, and I really want you all to get out and enjoy those during our summer. So without any further announcements, the Lompoc City Council is adjourned to its next regular meeting at 6:30 p.m. on Tuesday, August 6th, 2019.